Some of you may have wondered why I'm not only doing Slovakia first, but also Europa first. The reason is that unlike other conservative politicians, I am for a European Union. I mentioned this in previous videos. I love the idea of European countries working together, helping each other and living like neighbors. The issue is that Europe and especially the European people are not being put first. What do I mean by that? Well, the EU and especially the European Commission have too much power to the detriment of the European people. They can manipulate elections and force laws and policies which are against their country's interest. I've gone into the election intervention and the EU's left-wing political bias last week. So in this episode I'll focus on the too much power aspect. But what even is my goal with Europa First? I am a realistic person, so I only have two main goals right now. One is to educate others on the European Union and current news and issues, and the other is to educate myself, because I've learned so much from making these 4 videos, and this also counts for my Slovakia First series. I hope that my videos can be an educational journey for the viewers and me. If I could stay consistent and this channel would grow bigger, I'd be more than happy to get engaged in real politics, whether it would be in Slovakia or even in the European Parliament. But for now it's just to see if this is even the right thing for me. Now enough about me, let's look into how the power of the EU hurts the European people. Europe is a diverse continent. Sweden is different from Greece, and Ireland is different from Romania. What is good for one country isn't good for another, and this is one of the issues. The Mercosur trade deal is a perfect example for this. Germany was a strong supporter because they could export their manufactured goods at a cheaper price, while France was strongly against it because it would hurt their farmers and they wouldn't have benefited as much as Germany. In cases like this, there will always be a winner and a loser. This wouldn't be such a big issue if countries had some sort of national sovereignty left. But because EU law and deals override national law and deals, all EU countries must participate in it. A solution that could be implemented is giving countries their power back. If, for example, a deal or a policy hurts, let's say 4 countries, but it would benefit the majority of EU states, then those 4 countries could pull out of the deal, while it would go through for the other countries. This way, each European country, their interests and their people can be put first while allowing for international cooperation. But I think there should be exceptions to this rule when it affects the whole continent rather than countries individually. For example, environmental regulations. If one country enforces a regulation that reduces plastic consumption, it's not going to do much. But if several countries in the EU agree and pass the regulation into EU law, then we have a global power that set a new standard for protecting the environment. So I still think that the European Union should act united in certain aspects of politics, but still leave countries with enough national sovereignty so that they can put their people first. Let me know what you think about this proposal in the comments. But what really isn't putting Europe first is mass migration, and this is my biggest issue with the European Union. Because mass migration is the biggest threat to Europe and it is promoted by the majority of politicians in the European Union. Because 2 months ago I didn't know how the European Union worked and what disadvantages and threats came with it. But I knew that you can't put the European people first if you are actively replacing them. Our people, our heritage, our culture and our system, which is built on these 3 things, must be protected from foreign people. And the leadership of the European Union is totally failing at this. There are 3 types of people in the EU that actively support mass migration. Those who hate us and want to replace us, those who feel some guilt for colonial times and feel obligated to let them in, and those who think migrants are a benefit to our economy. To the last group of politicians which fit the description of Slovak progressives, I want to say that the migrants are different from us. They do not share the same history as us, and many refuse to assimilate. And even if they get a job, pay taxes and don't commit any crime, they can never ever be and they will never feel European. Go to Germany and ask a 3rd-generation Turkish immigrant whose Turkish parents were born and raised in Germany if he feels more as a German or as a Turk. 90% of the time you will get the latter. But Turkish immigrants aren't that bad because they are still close to us geographically and culturally, and they actually worked in the countries they migrated to, at least the 1st generation. But what happens if we bring people in from Africa or Central and Southern Asia? These people hate white people. They view us as evil racist colonizers just because we're white. They do not have respect for our lands because they don't belong to them, and because they have no connection to Europe and don't value our civilization, they won't work to preserve and improve it. They will abuse it. Look at Great Britain. White people are the only group that are a net benefit to the British economy. Every foreign, non-white person is costing the UK over £5,000 on average. That is €6,000 every year. I would love to see a united Europe where the European people and each country are put first based on their needs and interests. Every country is different, which means that every country needs to have different measures. Sadly, I don't see another realistic way of fixing this problem than countries leaving and forming their own union where they can put their nations first while working together as a global power. Reforming the EU is not a realistic option as of now, because the left-wing presence is too big in the high ranks of the EU, backed by other left-wing organizations. And yes, we're having small wins like on Tuesday where the European Parliament voted on the list of safe countries. If refugees from these countries arrive at European borders, they will be returned to their country of origin. But that is just a small win. They will never let us win for real. If they can get their migrants illegally, then they will try to do it the legal way, through trade agreements like the one with India, or on a national scale like in Slovakia with Uzbekistan. Don't get fooled by these small wins. Of course I'm happy that this proposal passed in the EU, but it is not enough. We need an immigration moratorium, deport most non-European foreigners and only allow intra-European immigration. Else we will end up like the United States, or worse, South Africa and Rhodesia. I'm Slovak Raper and I'll see you next week.